across the Western world. Feminists are now openly converting to Islam and chanting Allah Akbar in public. Former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright has said that she is now going to register as a Muslim and begin conversion. And here in the United States, just last weekend, I witnessed in D.C. thousands of women in front of me putting on plastic hijabs that were given to them and basically converting to the most oppressive system in the world against women. Why are the communist Chinese, the European Union, the corrupt Pope, and so many other global institutions angry at President Trump? It's simple. He wants America to run its own store, its own shop, its own economy, its own culture, its own borders, its own military, its own systems, its own families, its own property. And under globalism, these multinational corporations have gotten the entire planet that they've already basically conquered through fraud, including authoritarian nations, to gang up on the United States and lecture us. Now, on this Saturday news alert, I want to show you just 4 stories out of hundreds that tie together. Communist Chinese-backed company faces hurdles in closing Dick Clark production deal for $1 billion. Just another one of the scores of major Hollywood production houses that the communist Chinese have been buying controlling interest in just the last few years. In fact, they've increased massively their amount of spending just since last year, taking over our media and Hollywood production systems. In fact, they've got a new movie coming out that has the director of the Transformers movies creating a movie where a Trump-like president is a fascist dictator and has to be overthrown by the communist Chinese here in the United States. I mean, this is getting absolutely ridiculous. So there's that story. And now Trump is standing up against that, saying, no, this is a national sovereignty issue. Communist China doesn't let us come into their country and dictate what their media does. In fact, it's tightly controlled. They're using the fact that we've been an open, free society to infiltrate and take control. Here's another story from Infowars.com. Our own Kit Daniels went down to the press conference. Now, a little bit closer to home, Travis County, where the city of Austin is centered here in Texas, has a sheriff newly elected who says she won't help ICE or the Border Patrol deport anybody, including rapists and murderers, because it's wrong to deport anybody under her system. She is a La Reconquista, basically Mexican nationalist that wants to end the sovereignty of this country. Again, this is all part of globalization. When Arnold Schwarzenegger and others couldn't get the carbon taxes passed 6 years ago, they began to have UN munization programs where our cities themselves sign deals with the UN. Well, this is the same thing happening here, where in the state of Texas, we have this sheriff saying, I'm going to ignore the laws. Well, what other laws are you going to ignore? DWI, arson, things like that? Well, when illegal aliens commit DWI or arson, they actually let them go. Again, creating a class that is literally above the law. The Austin sheriff, Sally Hernandez, is so arrogant that she's shaking her fist at the governor, at President Trump, you name it, saying we will deport no one, even if they're an aggravated felon. The previous sheriff was a black man who was, by the way, a liberal, but he still deported hundreds of aggravated felons a year. But now she just says, no, it's all over completely. Ladies and gentlemen, Mexico has a wall. Mexico deports illegals. Mexico deports aggravated felons. Why can't the United States? China has a great wall. It's not racist. The Vatican has huge walls. It's not racist. These Hollywood people have bodyguards and big walls, and the president's building a house with a big wall, and Zuckerberg's got a big wall in Silicon Valley. But again, individual citizens supposedly can't defend ourselves, and our nation can't have a wall on the north or the south. And now EU leaders like Hollande of France and Merkel of Germany are saying they're going to have, quote, a firm response to Trump and the fact that he's not going to let more, quote, refugees in out of the Middle East, who are really just the people that got defeated invading Syria. Europe's let 5 million in. We've let hundreds of thousands in. It was set to triple that number coming into the United States just this year, what came in last year. And Trump's saying we're putting on a temporary hold simply until we're able to vet who's coming in. We've had people stabbing, shooting, running people over with cars here in the United States. We've had the same thing in France, in Germany. We've had mass rapes. And in places like Sweden, they won't even report it when it's an Islamicist that does it. So how dare the unelected EU that's hijacked Europe sit here and lecture us on what we should do? They admit in the WikiLeaks that they're bringing in Islamicists to our once open, free societies because it is incompatible with our society, so that we'll have to convert to an authoritarian state just to deal with the Islamic threat that they've brought in. And now we see at women's marches in Germany and in the United States, women chanting Allah Akbar and wanting to go under Islam. They are so cuckolded. They are so hateful of the West and the freedom their daddy and their mommy gave them that, like a mind control victim under Stockholm Syndrome, they run the most authoritarian, most misogynistic, most male-dominant system and literally put hijabs on in D.C. by the thousands, as I witnessed women going under orthodox, radical Islamic tyranny to prove their hate of the West. You see, there's a power vacuum in the West. Men have ceased to be men. When I saw the D.C. march last week, every man marched behind the woman. Well, solidarity and equality means we're both equal, men and women, not men march behind the women as some reverse misogynistic image that the George Soros-controlled media has spewed. And at the march, and I saw videos again from Germany of this as well, the women are embracing Islam as their muscle that is going to dominate and control the West. Boy, are they in for a rude awakening once Islam hits 50%. Then they start waging jihad every single time and basically winning. They start carrying out terror attacks once they hit about 5%. But what's crazy is Khazir Khan, whose son is a gold star person, so we've got to bow down to whatever he says, has basically come out along with CNN and implied that there are going to be more terror attacks in America because we're not bringing in these unvetted jihadis. Now, how crazy is that? Europe floods itself with a bunch of military-age men screaming Allah Akbar who start shooting, killing, and raping. And the answer of CNN and Khazir Khan and others is that America better capitulate or there's going to be more violence. And they even act like in the piece that we're deserving of violence because we're making, the poor little Islamists so angry. Here's the facts. Every Islamic country is intolerant and 98 or 99% Muslim. Christians are being kicked out of the Middle East everywhere, from Syria to Iraq. And wherever we allow the jihadis to get a strong foothold, they are completely intolerant, not just of Christians and Jews, but of non-radical Muslims. This is a cancerous scourge that has mutated and joined leftist movements worldwide in a takeover of the West that will dwarf the fall of Constantinople if we don't spread the alarm bells. In closing, I want to give you the good news. The sleeping giant that is free peoples around this world, from Africa and African nations to Japan, to Russia, to European countries, to India, to Mexico, to the United States, to Brazil. All over the world, countries are discovering nationalism and sovereignty and the family and what made humans great and successful, what our species really are. And everywhere I go, I run into huge numbers of people of every race, color, and creed who are aware that the globalist program is anti-human and that this entire world government project is meant to create tyranny and kill prosperity for the average person. The minds of the population of the planet have never been more fertile to the truth. That's why I'm asking all of you to spread this video on Facebook, YouTube, your email, your own blog, your own website, and to tell your neighbors, your friends, your family about the fight for human liberty that's taking place worldwide. There is a war against America. There is a war against the UK. There is a war against France and Italy and the nationalist movements there trying to restore sanity to what's happening in their countries. And we are starting to turn the tide and starting to win. But the enemy is launching major counteroffensives against us, both legislative, economic, and physical. They're trying to bully and intimidate and shut up the free press. That's why it's more important than ever that all of you out there spread the word and take action and continue to support Infowars.com. The globalists are censoring the site more and more, blocking the spread of the information. But still, we're exploding. If all of you will just tell your friends, your neighbors, your friends, your family, and strangers or people you meet at work about Infowars.com and the fight that's taking place, we will turn the tide. I've said this 1,000 times, I'll say it again. If you're watching or listening to this transmission, you really are the hope. I don't say that to patronize you. You are the resistance, and we're counting on you to take this to the next level. You've seen the amazing effects you've already had. You've seen the tide begin to turn. Let's work even harder. It's fun. It's exciting to not lay down. It's exciting to not be slaves and to take action. It's exciting to be part of the great animating contest of liberty that unites us all with the red blood of humans that want freedom for themselves, their children, and their progeny. I'm Alex Jones, and this is the InfoWar.
In case you haven't heard, InfoWars has become the most influential media outlet in America. We're making freedom go viral. And now we are proud to announce a new weapon in the epic battle against the globalists. InfoWars Prime, where you can watch live high-definition feeds of The Alex Jones Show, plus exclusive insider videos from the InfoWars crew and behind-the-scenes action. Go to Infowars.com/app and download today. InfoWars Prime is available right now for your iPhone or Android. You will have access to exclusive videos that you can't see anywhere else. And that means live coverage of events and breaking news on location as it happens. You can also take advantage of amazing deals from the InfoWars store that are only available for InfoWars Prime subscribers. That's InfoWars Prime at Infowars.com/app. And if you can hear my voice, you are the resistance.